The cosmos, as it is revealed, is abundantly populated with sentient beings, a revelation that would have both captivated scientists and simultaneously alarmed military authorities of humanity's past. Approximately 12,000 species had mastered faster-than-light travel, with an additional 8,000 or so navigating their own star systems using sublight propulsion, akin to infants operating electric vehicles. The Galactic Unified Council, or GUC, pronounced in a manner reminiscent of someone expelling phlegm, preserved a degree of order through an intricate network of pacts, commercial arrangements, and infrequent, sternly phrased communications. Interspecies armed conflict among advanced civilizations was uncommon, largely because most had progressed beyond such rudimentary power displays. Most, but not humans. Another communication has arrived from the Orion Arm, Zap reported, his appendages moving across interactive holograms with the honed accuracy of a virtuoso musician under the influence of performance enhancers. Humans have... oh my. Translation. Core headquarters was bustling with its typical morning activity. Thousands of language specialists from hundreds of different races diligently maintained the Great Lexicon, the dynamic database that enabled the galaxy's numerous species to interact without unintentionally initiating hostilities due to a mispronounced salutation that might offend someone's ancestry. Chief linguist V. Toxin approached Zap's workstation, her gaseous membrane-like body pulsating with hues of inquisitive orange. "What have they done this time?" she inquired, the universal translator converting her methane exhalations into flawlessly comprehensible galactic standard. They annihilated an entire pirate fleet, 17 ships over 2,000 individuals, simply because the pirates captured a single human trade vessel. Vitoxin emitted a deep indigo hue, analogous to raising an eyebrow if she possessed either. "That appears disproportionate," she remarked. "Precisely the issue," Zap responded, his primary eye stalk sagging with apprehension. "I've been analyzing human language patterns for some time and have uncovered something deeply unsettling." Broyne approached, her translucent body displaying streaks of anticipatory yellow. "Humans lack the concept of sufficient force," Zap explained. "They have terminology for it, they can articulate the notion, but it isn't ingrained in their societal awareness. It's like attempting to describe moistness to a species originating on a planet devoid of fluids." "That's improbable," Vitoxin countered. "All intelligent species develop proportionality concepts as they mature. It's a fundamental requirement for technological advancement. Without it, they would have self-destructed long before achieving space travel." Zap displayed a holographic depiction of Earth's historical timeline, emphasizing specific occurrences with pulsing red markers. "Observe their history. When attacked, they don't merely resist, they obliterate. When menaced, they don't just protect, they eradicate the threat's potential to ever re-emerge. They created weapons capable of destroying cities, then manufactured enough to obliterate their entire planet many times over." "Deterrence is a standard strategy," Vitoxin noted, though her coloration had transitioned to an uneasy mauve. "It's more than that," Zap insisted. "They possess this phrase overkill, but they employ it almost admiringly. While most races view excessive force as profligate or ethically dubious, humans perceive it as comforting, exhaustive." A junior linguist passing by inadvertently overheard a portion of the discussion. "Perhaps it's a translation misinterpretation," they suggested. Zap shook his central processing unit. "I've conducted semantic evaluations in 16 distinct ways. I've scrutinized their entertainment, military strategies, historical documents, and commonplace conversational patterns. It's uniform across all their cultures and throughout their recorded history." He presented footage from the recent pirate incident. The recording depicted a lone human vessel, apparently a reinforced trading ship, sustaining substantial damage from the pirate assault. The pirates had immobilized its engines and were readying to board when 12 human military vessels abruptly emerged from hyperspace. What ensued was less a battle and more an eradication. The human warships didn't request surrender. They didn't attempt to incapacitate the pirate ships or take them captive. They simply initiated fire with weaponry that appeared needlessly potent for vessels of their size. Notice how they persist in firing even after the targeted ships are evidently disabled, Zapp pointed out, his appendages indicating particular segments of the footage. They disintegrate everything into particles finer than dust. There isn't even wreckage substantial enough for retrieval. RW Toxin's coloration had shifted to a distressed crimson. Have you alerted the Council to this? Not yet. I wish to finalize my linguistic analysis first. The humans recently joined the Galactic Translation Core, and they've assigned a representative to aid us in comprehending their languages. I've been interviewing their linguistic attaché, and when I inquired about proportional response concepts, they laughed. They actually laughed. Then they uttered something genuinely chilling. Zapp's voice diminished to what would be a whisper if vocalized via sound waves rather than electromagnetic pulses. They stated, "If it's worth doing, it's worth overdoing." V-Toxin pulsed rapidly through several colors before stabilizing on a troubled purple. Arrange an urgent meeting with the Defense Committee. We must comprehend the ramifications of this linguistic peculiarity before we further integrate humans into galactic society. There's more, Zapp added. I've been scrutinizing their fictional narratives, what they term action movies. Their protagonists routinely demolish entire structures to neutralize a single adversary. They wreck vehicles valued at millions of their currency units to apprehend criminals who pilfered a mere fraction of that sum. The audience celebrates these actions. Perhaps it's merely entertainment, hyperbole, RW Toxin suggested hopefully. That's what I initially believed, but their actual military history reveals the identical pattern. They don't merely triumph in conflicts, they ensure their adversaries never reemerge. They don't negotiate from positions of strength, they dictate conditions from positions of absolute supremacy. The chief linguist pondered for a moment. How did such a species endure its own evolution? Most civilizations exhibiting such inclinations self-destruct through escalating internal disputes. Zapp's appendages executed the equivalent of a nervous shrug. That's the genuinely perplexing aspect. They did approach. Self-annihilation several times, yet somehow they consistently recoiled from the precipice. However, when confronting external threats, they exhibit no such restraint. It's almost as if Vitoxin interjected, as if they reserve their most extreme tendencies for those outside their species. Zapp concluded, the implications are unsettling. Prepare a comprehensive report, Vitoxin directed. Include all linguistic and behavioral evidence. We present it to the Defense Committee tomorrow. As Vitoxin departed, Zapp returned to his workstation, retrieving more human historical records. The more he examined, the more a troubling pattern materialized. Humans didn't merely lack a deeply ingrained concept of proportional response. They actively celebrated its absence. In their literature, their entertainment, their military strategies, even their commercial practices, the same theme recurred consistently. When confronted with a challenge, apply overwhelming force. When menaced, respond with utterly devastating repercussions. The linguist felt a tremor traverse his neural network. The galaxy had welcomed humans with open appendages, impressed by their flexibility and ingenuity. But perhaps they should have paid closer attention to what humans did to those they deemed adversaries. Because, as Zapp was discovering, humans didn't neutralize threats. They obliterated them, and they didn't even possess the decency to feel remorse afterward. The pirate incident wasn't an aberration. It was merely the initial instance the galactic community had noticed what humans had been doing all along. Zapp saved his findings and prepared for the following day's presentation. The Defense Committee needed to grasp what they were confronting. After all, as the human adage went, knowledge is power. And when it came to humans, the galaxy required all the power it could muster. The Defense Committee chamber bore a resemblance to an excessively elaborate aquarium. If aquariums were designed to accommodate representatives from 12,000 species, most of whom deemed each other's natural habitats as appallingly lethal. Environmental bubbles of every conceivable dimension and composition floated within the immense space, each containing a delegate from one of the Galactic Council's senior member species. Zap's presentation bubble hovered centrally, his 17 appendages twitching anxiously as he prepared to deliver what might be the most crucial linguistic analysis of his career. "Distinguished representatives," he commenced, his translator rendering his electromagnetic pulses into a dozen concurrent linguistic outputs. "Thank you for convening on such brief notice. What I am about to disclose may fundamentally reshape our understanding of our newest galactic neighbors." The committee chair, a crystalline entity known as Pantron, refracted light in a pattern signifying polite attentiveness. "Proceed, linguist Zap. The Defense Committee acknowledges the urgency of your request." Zap activated his holographic display, which expanded to occupy the chamber's central viewing area. As the Galactic Translation Core specialist on human communication patterns, I've uncovered a troubling linguistic peculiarity that elucidates several recent occurrences involving human military forces. The display presented footage from the pirate incident, along with data from 3 other encounters where human responses had generated concern among Council observers. To comprehend the significance of these events, we must initially grasp a critical void in human conceptual frameworks. Humans lack a profoundly integrated concept of proportional response. A murmur rippled through the environmental bubbles, the equivalent of a startled gasp from dozens of diverse respiratory systems. To illustrate this point, Zap continued, I've compiled evidence from human historical records. The display transitioned to depict Earth circa the mid-20th century by human reckoning. This conflict, which humans termed World War II, offers multiple exemplifications. When attacked at a military installation designated Pearl Harbor, suffering approximately 2,400 casualties, the humans retaliated by ultimately deploying atomic weaponry on civilian population centers, causing hundreds of thousands of immediate fatalities and numerous more through delayed effects. The committee members observed in stunned silence. Some might contend this was an isolated occurrence, perhaps precipitated by the rudimentary nature of their civilization at that juncture, Zap acknowledged. However, the pattern reiterates consistently throughout their history. The display shifted again. In this conflict, the humans eradicated an entire planetary government because a small terrorist faction operating within its borders assaulted human structures. The targets possessed primarily symbolic significance and constituted a minuscule fraction of human industrial capability. The response entailed full-scale invasion and regime alteration. Astron's crystalline form vibrated slightly, a sign of distress. Perhaps these are political outliers, decisions executed by specific belligerent factions within human governance? A plausible hypothesis, Zap conceded, but the pattern transcends non-military contexts. The display showcased scenes from human athletic competitions, commercial practices, and even food consumption habits. Humans implement the same principle across their civilization. They construct vehicles capable of traversing 5 times faster than their safety regulations authorize. Their recreational pursuits frequently involve deliberate risk-taking at levels that would be deemed pathological in most species. They consume resources at rates vastly exceeding their biological requisites. An amorphous mass of sentient plasma pulsed from within its containment field. This sounds like mere inefficiency, not a threat. Many nascent species display profligate behaviors prior to maturation. With respect, Delegate Beamock, human civilization is over 10,000 years old. This isn't immaturity, it's a foundational aspect of their psychology. Zap manipulated the display to showcase human brain scans alongside linguistic mapping. Humans possess a concept they term insurance. Not merely financial safeguarding against calamity, though they possess remarkably evolved systems for that, but psychological insurance. They consistently apply more force than necessary because, in their reasoning, it's preferable to waste resources than to discover you've applied inadequate effort. The display reverted to military footage. Observe this incident from their pre-spaceflight era. When a hostage situation unfolded involving 52 of their diplomats, one human nation attempted a rescue. The operation failed due to environmental factors. Their response: they didn't merely sanction the accountable government, They methodically dismantled its economic structure over decades until the entire regime disintegrated. Zap's appendages gestured emphatically. They didn't simply desire their people returned. They sought to ensure no one would ever contemplate seizing their people again. A reptilian delegate leaned forward in her suspension gel. This appears admirable in a primitive manner. They safeguard their own. Indeed, Zap acknowledged. But at what expense? And with what potential ramifications for galactic stability? He presented footage from a recent joint military exercise. Human forces had been invited to participate alongside Council security units. In this simulation, human commanders were presented with a scenario involving a minor border transgression. The anticipated response was diplomatic engagement with minimal defensive positioning. Instead, the humans mobilized their entire fleet, deployed what they termed overwhelming force, and prepared planetary bombardment capabilities. The committee observed as human officers calmly elucidated their reasoning to bewildered Council security directors. When interrogated about this approach, Zap continued, the human commander stated, and I quote, "The optimal method to avert a war is to render the cost of initiating one unthinkable." Astron's crystalline structure emitted apprehensive frequencies. Are you insinuating humans might implement this philosophy to disputes within Council space? I am suggesting, Zap stated deliberately, that we must comprehend this facet of human psychology before we further integrate them into galactic security arrangements. The display transitioned to linguistic data, intricate patterns depicting translation matrices and conceptual frameworks. In most galactic languages, we possess specific terminology for excessive force or disproportionate response. These terms bear negative connotations: profligacy, lack of restraint, ethical transgression. In human languages, the equivalent concept, overkill, is frequently employed admiringly. The chamber descended into silence as the ramifications permeated. Let me be unequivocal, Zap stated, disrupting the uneasy quiet. Humans aren't inherently more belligerent than other species. In fact, their individual empathy capabilities are quite highly developed. But their threat response is distinctive. He displayed the outcomes from cultural integration simulations. In scenarios where most species pursue deterrence through balanced force capability, humans pursue it through overwhelming advantage . Where most species would deem minimal necessary harm to neutralize a threat, humans ensure the threat is not merely neutralized, but entirely eradicated . A silicon-based delegate whose environmental bubble radiated heat spoke up. This resembles the tech reset methodology. They were similarly excessive. The Council ultimately had to confine them. There's a crucial distinction, Zap countered. The tech reset applied excessive force due to religious fanaticism. Humans do it out of pragmatism . They simply believe it's more efficacious. He displayed human entertainment media, what they termed movies about conflicts. Their fictional narratives consistently valorize what they term taking the gloves off, removing self-imposed constraints to apply maximum force. Their heroes are frequently defined by their willingness to transcend conventional boundaries when menaced. Zap highlighted particular scenes depicting human protagonists demolishing entire installations to eliminate solitary adversaries or sacrificing immense resources to attain objectives that could have been achieved more economically. The unsettling element isn't that humans are capable of such responses. Many species are. The unsettling element is that humans deem this normal even virtuous . Astron's crystalline form shifted to a frequency signifying profound apprehension. What are your recommendations, linguist Zap? Firstly, we must ensure all diplomatic personnel engaging with humans comprehend this conceptual chasm. Secondly, we should reassess human integration into security operations, particularly in delicate regions. Thirdly, and most crucially, we must institute explicit guidelines regarding what constitutes acceptable force within Council jurisdiction. The display showcased the recent pirate incident once more. The pirates contravened council law and merited prosecution, but the human response, complete obliteration without opportunity for surrender, transgressed our ethical norms, even if it technically conformed to our legal frameworks. The committee members floated in discomfited silence. There is one additional matter, Zapp added, his appendages shifting in what the translator rendered as an apologetic gesture. I've been collaborating with the human representative to the Translation Core, a linguistic specialist. When I elucidated our apprehensions concerning proportionality, they appeared genuinely perplexed. He played an audio recording. The human voice, rendered into standard frequencies, stated, "But asterisk, why asterisk would you employ merely asterisk sufficient asterisk force to halt a threat temporarily when you could utilize enough to ensure it asterisk never asterisk threatens you again? That's simply inefficient." Zapp allowed the recording to linger in the air. They don't even acknowledge this as a moral quandary, he explicated. To humans, it's purely practical, and that's what renders this so challenging to address through conventional diplomatic channels. Astron's crystalline structure emitted the frequency pattern for profound contemplation before responding. Thank you, linguist Zapp. This committee will require time to process these ramifications. For now, I am initiating a review of all joint security operations involving human forces. We will reconvene in 3 cycles to deliberate further actions. As the committee members began to disperse, Zapp couldn't help but notice the subtle alteration in how they regarded the human observer stationed at the rear of the chamber, a silent bipedal figure who had observed the entire presentation with what appeared to be mild amusement. The human caught Zapp's eye stalks and offered a small gesture that the translator construed as amicable acknowledgement. But Zapp couldn't help but speculate if there wasn't something asterisk else asterisk in the gesture. Something the sophisticated translation systems of the galaxy's most advanced civilization couldn't quite capture. Something that might be interpreted as, "You have asterisk, no asterisk idea what we're capable of." And that perhaps was the most unsettling realization of all. The Subcommittee on Xenos Psychological Assessment was not, as a convention, accustomed to operating under duress. Their customary responsibilities involved centuries-long inquiries into evolutionary psychology among member species, published in reports so comprehensive and excruciatingly detailed that they were primarily utilized as sleep aids by insomniacs across the galaxy. Today was atypical. The 7 specialists comprising Subcommittee T had been allocated precisely 1 standard cycle to generate a comprehensive analysis of human psychology as it pertained to the concept of proportional response. Preposterous, grumbled Dr. Queek, a gaseous entity specializing in motivational theory. You can't condense a proper psychological evaluation into a single cycle. It's scientifically untenable. The Defense Committee doesn't desire proper, they desire immediate, Dr. Thas retorted, extending her sensory filaments in a gesture signifying resignation. So, let's concentrate on what we can ascertain from extant data. The chamber's central projection displayed a 3-dimensional model of a human brain, rotating languidly to reveal its various structures. Intriguing architecture, Dr. Enox observed, whose own neural network subsisted as a distributed field of quantum particles. Their threat assessment and response systems are remarkably integrated with their superior reasoning centers. That's precisely the predicament, Dr. Theets pointed out. Most species evolve a segregation between immediate threat response and strategic planning. It prevents overreaction. Humans blur this demarcation. They can rationalize extreme responses through their higher cognitive functions. The display transitioned to showcase recordings of human military training exercises. Soldiers practiced maneuvers with ruthless efficiency while their commanders discussed scenarios involving what humans euphemistically termed force multiplication. Observe their facial expressions, Dr. QC noted. No indications of distress when deliberating potential casualties. No physiological indicators of ethical discomfort when calculating destruction ratios. They've normalized it, Dr. LeVar concluded. What most species would deem extreme is, for humans, simply standard procedure. The subcommittee members observed as the human commanders calmly discussed contingency plans that encompassed options most civilized species would deem genocidal. "We've arranged an interview with their military liaison," Dr. Thas announced. "Perhaps direct inquiry will yield insights that observation cannot." The chamber door parted to admit a human in what appeared to be formal military attire. The universal translator identified him as Commander Reeves, Human Defense Force. The human nodded to the assembled specialists. "Doctors, I comprehend you possess some inquiries concerning our tactical doctrines." Diaz extended her sensory filaments in a welcoming pattern. "Thank you for joining us, Commander. We're conducting a review of interspecies psychological variances, particularly concerning concepts of proportional response." "Ah," the human stated, with what the translator indicated was an expression of amusement. "You're pondering why we vaporized those pirates instead of requesting them politely to surrender." "That would be an accurate, if somewhat reductive, characterization of our inquiry," Dr. Queek acknowledged. From the Council's perspective, the response appeared excessive. The human shrugged, a gesture involving shoulder movement that the translator identified as signifying casual dismissal of concern. "Excessive is subjective," he stated. "Those pirates had seized a civilian vessel. Our response ensured no other pirates in the sector will perpetrate the same error." "But surely capturing them for trial would have attained the same deterrent effect?" Dr. Ov suggested. The human expression shifted to what the translator identified as patient elucidation, as to a child. "With respect, Doctor, no, it wouldn't. Capture signifies risk to our personnel. Trial signifies expenditure and time. Imprisonment signifies ongoing resource allocation. And none of that asterisk guarantees asterisk deterrence." The human leaned forward slightly. "Atomization, on the other hand, is exceedingly efficacious at conveying a message." The specialists exchanged the equivalent of apprehensive glances. "In most galactic cultures," Dr. Thas elucidated, "such reasoning would be deemed ethically problematic. The value of sentient life, even criminal life, generally supersedes efficiency considerations." The human nodded. "Differing perspectives, we value life too, which is precisely why we don't dither when our people are menaced. Those pirates made their choice." Dr. QC expanded slightly, a gesture signifying intellectual curiosity. "Would you state this approach as representative of human psychology in general, this predilection for definitive solutions?" "Unquestionably," the human replied without hesitation. "It's ingrained in our idioms. Better safe than sorry, kill it with fire, nuke it from orbit. It's the only way to be sure." The translator appended a footnote indicating the final phrase was a reference to human entertainment media. "These are all very pop culture statements, but they do speak to the mindset." "They are deemed rational approaches?" Dr. Nanox inquired. "Rational? They're deemed common sense asterisk." The human gestured toward the display, which still depicted human military exercises. "Look, humanity expended most of its history battling itself. We learned the hard way that half measures result in more casualties in the long term." "Intriguing," murmured Dothoris. "You actually perceive overwhelming force as the more humane option?" "Undoubtedly," the human replied as if stating the obvious. "When there's no uncertainty concerning the outcome, conflicts conclude more swiftly. Fewer casualties overall." The subcommittee members processed this information silently for a moment. "There's something else," the human added. "Something your analysis might have overlooked." The specialists focused their attention receptors on the human. "We don't relish destruction. We're not bloodthirsty. We simply decline to accept superfluous risk when it pertains to safeguarding our own." The human's expression shifted to what the translator identified as grim determination. "The pirates threatened our people. They perished for it. Simple as that. If they'd threatened one of your transports, they'd have been captured, processed through your judicial system, and eventually liberated. And they'd have learned that menacing council species carries minimal repercussions." Dr. Enoch's particles swirled in a pattern signifying disagreement. "Our judicial system boasts a 99.7% rehabilitation success rate. The human emitted a sound the translator identified as skeptical amusement. Perhaps, but our method boasts a 100% success rate at ensuring those specific pirates never threaten anyone again, and an immeasurable deterrent effect on others. This perspective is unsettling, Dr. Sakas conceded. It suggests a fundamental incompatibility with Council security doctrine. The human shrugged again. Differing approaches to the identical objective, safety. You prefer minimum necessary force. We prefer maximum effective force. Both possess their place. After the human had departed, the subcommittee remained in pensive silence for several moments. Their psychology is even more alien than we anticipated, Dr. Queek finally observed. They've institutionalized overkill as a virtue. The genuinely unsettling facet, Dr. Envox added, is their incapacity to acknowledge this as unusual. The commander spoke as if his perspective was self-evidently correct. Tistaskas extended her sensory filaments in the pattern signifying profound apprehension. We must submit our findings immediately. The Defense Committee should comprehend. Humans don't apply overwhelming force due to bloodlust or belligerence. They do it out of an abundance of caution, which somehow renders it more disquieting. Dr. Kwok noted, they're not irrational, they've simply evolved a different rationality, one that prioritizes total elimination of threats above all other considerations. The display shifted to depict the recent pirate incident once more. The human vessels persisted in firing long after the pirate ships had been incapacitated, reducing them to particles so minute they were barely detectable by sensors. From their perspective, Dr. Ninox observed, this was restraint asterisk. They could have deployed more destructive weaponry. They only utilized what they deemed necessary. That's precisely what we must convey to the committee, Dr. Thos concluded. Humans don't acknowledge overkill as a concept because to them, no amount of force is excessive if it guarantees the desired outcome. As the subcommittee commenced preparing their report, a notification materialized on their communication system. The Galactic Council had received a formal protest from a coalition of species from the Orion Arm, all neighbors to human territory. The protest alleged human military buildups along shared borders, belligerent expansion of defensive systems, and deployment of weapons platforms that appeared disproportionate to any conceivable threat. Observe, Dr. Queek gestured toward the notification. It's already transpiring. Their concept of reasonable precaution is triggering security apprehensions among their neighbors. The inquiry, Dr. Theus stated somberly, is whether the Council should intervene. Do we endeavor to restrain human expansion until they adopt more proportional approaches? Inox's particles formed a pattern signifying extreme caution. Based on our analysis of their psychology, how do you believe humans would respond to containment endeavors? The chamber fell silent as the ramifications became apparent. Any endeavor to restrict human activity would be perceived as a threat, and humans, as they were swiftly learning, possessed a very particular method of dealing with threats. The subcommittee's report, when submitted an hour later, concluded with a recommendation that would dispatch shockwaves through the Galactic Council. Given human psychological tendencies concerning threat response, the subcommittee strongly advises against any policy that could be perceived as constraining legitimate human security interests. Such actions would likely trigger precisely the disproportionate response the Council wishes to avert. Instead, we advocate integration of human security doctrine into Council protocols, not to adopt their methodologies, but to channel them constructively. Humans may not comprehend proportional response, but they comprehend alliances. Better to have them overreacting on our behalf than against our interests. As the report was transmitted to the Defense Committee, Dr. Theus couldn't help but speculate if they had just recommended appeasement of the most perilous species the galaxy had ever encountered. But the alternative appeared even more dire. The Coalition for Galactic Security disregarded the Council's admonitions. They elected to test human boundaries by orchestrating a minor resource dispute in a neutral system. Their analysis prognosticated a diplomatic response, perhaps limited military posturing. They were catastrophically incorrect. Within hours, human warships arrived in numbers that defied prognostication. They didn't merely secure the disputed territory, they established a permanent presence throughout the sector, deploying automated defense platforms and asserting regulatory authority over 3 previously neutral trade routes. When confronted, the human ambassador simply stated, "Threats to our interests will be decisively addressed. This isn't negotiable." The coalition, panicking, appealed to the council, the same entity whose warnings they'd ignored. 2 cycles later, the coalition found themselves requesting human protection against an emergent threat from uncharted space. The humans concurred with suspicious alacrity. "We're delighted to furnish security assistance," the human diplomat announced. "We'll ensure the threat is eliminated completely. The emphasis on completely wasn't overlooked by anyone in the council chamber. As Zapp observed from the observation gallery, he reflected that he didn't require his translator to comprehend what the humans genuinely signified. "We informed you so."